and welcome to another edition of Cooking with Lily and Generoso. I am Generoso.
I'm Lily.
And today we're going to do something a little irreverent. You always have heard of the Scotch Egg, this wonderful thing that's made in the Britons. It's sausage meat with an egg inside that's kind of a little bit runny, and it's absolutely delicious. I've always made a version of it, and I try to make it sound exotic. It's Uovo Scozzese Italiano, so it's the Italian Scotch egg. And again, very much like your Scotch egg, but we're going to play around with the ingredients and the method and make something that's really, really interesting that you could take with you. It's actually used as a picnic item a lot of times in England. You can take this one anywhere you want to go. So let's see what we're going to need. There's a lot of ingredients to this one, unlike a lot of the recipes I throw out there. So we got the mixing bowl, of course. We're going to need some regular all-purpose white flour. I use panko breadcrumbs because I like my Italian Scotch egg very crispy. We have a pound of ground meat, 20% fat, 80% lean. We have a pound of ground pork, about 4 regular-sized carrots. We have a giant green onion with its beautiful bulb. We have parsley. We have very fresh oregano. I minced up some garlic just the other day, so we're just going to go ahead and use that. I'd say it's about 2 tablespoons worth. 7 large eggs, not jumbo eggs. We don't want these Scotch eggs to be ridiculous. I ground up some beautiful parmesan before we started this off. I have a can of lovely crushed tomatoes because we're going to make a sauce with our Italian Scotch egg. Olive oil, black pepper, and salt. We're also going to need some extra gadgets this time. A couple of pie pans. You can use a baking sheet. I cannot find our baking sheet, which is driving me nuts, but it is somewhere in the house. And a deep fryer. If you do not have a deep fryer, feel free to just load up a decent size casserole or what have you and load it up with oil and do your deep frying that way. So we know everything that we're going to need. We're going to do a little tiny bit of prep work and be right back and make us this Italian Scotch egg. So we have got all our ingredients together and done what we needed to do with them. Let's take a look. We have minced those beautiful carrots up, nice small pieces. We chopped up, Lily to be more exact, chopped up that green onion to nice, again, mincing. The parsley is beautifully minced very finely, as is the oregano. The garlic we know was minced. We're going to leave this alone for right now, and we're going to do 3 things at once. So I prepared a mixing bowl full of ice and ice water. Why? Because we're going to deal with the eggs. Let's do this early. We're going to take our eggs and we're going to time it for about 6 minutes on the nose. And we're going to put them in. That one cracked, sadly. We're going to lower these into the water a little bit more easily.
That happens to me when I make tikka too. It's always the first one.
Yeah, because I'm a little bit of a roughhouser. We all know this. So the fundamental thing about cooking these for 6 minutes, and we're preparing the ice water for right afterwards so they don't continue to cook, is to make sure that the eggs are nice and firm, but a little tiny bit of a runny yolk. If it ends up being a hard yolk, that's fine too. You're still getting all that eggy goodness, but for exactly 6 minutes, and we're going to take back about another 30 seconds of that. So they cook for exactly 6 minutes. So that's happening. We started warming up this pan, and what we're going to put in this pan is all of our carrots. You want these to cook a little bit. We're not browning them, but what we're doing is we're softening them a tiny bit. In that mixture, you're going to want to add about half your oregano, about half of your wonderful parsley, and all of that beautiful green onion as I throw it randomly around the kitchen.
Such pretty colors.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is once this actually cooks up, this is going to go into our meat mixture.
Yum.
Yes, indeed, quite yummy. Now, the third part of what we're going to start going with is we're going to make a sauce. Now, if you just want to make these Italian Scotch eggs without sauce so you can take them with you to work or picnic fine for home, I like to make a very basic marinara sauce. So we're going to toss in our tomatoes in a very, very low flame. Ooh, that's popping up like crazy. A little bit hotter than we had hoped. In that, we're going to add our garlic. Okay. And our oregano. And our parsley. So while everything is cooking, we're going to get this going as well. Again, keep it on a nice low flame. Add a drop of olive oil. And we want to add some sea salt, about a teaspoon, and wonderful pepper. A little bit more than a teaspoon. Stir it up. And partially cover, keeping a little bit off the lid, of course. While the eggs are cooking, let's give this a little bit of a turn. Make sure all those wonderful ingredients mix together and draw up all their flavors. Add a little tiny bit more of the olive oil. And we're going to cook this for a bit. We're going to take these off the same time we take the eggs off. So we'll be back in a little tiny bit to show you where we are. So it has been exactly 6.5 minutes. We are going to now take out our eggs as quickly as possible. And we're going to put them in this cold water bath so they can stop cooking. That is fundamental to this process. Otherwise, if you leave them inside the water, for example, even though the flame is off, they're still going to keep cooking and they're going to get very, very firm. And again, if they end up being a little too firm and not runny, that's fine too. But I like my eggs within my Scotch egg a little tiny bit runny. So that is definitely going to be the second step. And we're going to let these cool down for a little tiny bit. Meanwhile, this wonderful puree inside, we're going to give it probably about another minute or so. We're going to put this in a bowl and we're going to put it in the freezer. And we're going to let it cool off rapidly. As we can see, the marinara sauce is still cooking. So we'll be back in a second and we'll show you the next steps once the carrot mixture has cooled off and we're ready to make our filling and shell our eggs. So it's been about 40 minutes or so. I have shelled our eggs. They came out very lovely and they're still in the ice bath just to keep them nice and cool for the process. I've taken the vegetables that we fried out of the freezer. They're nice and cool, which is perfect. So now what we're going to make is we're going to make the construct around the egg. So we're going to take our entire pound of pork, drop it in. We're going to get our pound of beef, drop that in as well. We're going to get some Parmesan cheese, put that in there. We're going to add a copious amount of pepper and sea salt. And let's mush this up the same way you would mush up a meatball. And we're not going to add egg to this, obviously, because there's an egg in the middle. So unlike a meatball, we're not making it that way. And we're not adding any breadcrumbs to this portion of it. So we're going to make this wonderful substance, mix it together. And once it's all completely, you want to make sure that the carrot mixture is really firmly inside the meat mixture. We're going to start to cover our eggs in this wonderful meat mixture. And we'll show you in a couple seconds. Started warming up our deep fryer. Get it up to a nice 350 degrees. There's going to be a baking element to this, but we're not going to turn the stove on just yet. We're going to wait till we start the fry. Here are our hard-boiled eggs, and here's our meat mixture. So you want to get a decent amount of the meat mixture and make a sort of cup. Put your egg in. Don't squish it. Don't break your egg. You need to love your egg. Add a little bit more of the meat mixture. These are big Scotch eggs.
Meat cup.
Italian Scotch eggs, absolutely. And of course you want to completely cover your egg in this mixture. Some people, they want a thin meat covering. I am not one of those people. Neither is my beloved Lily.
No.
No, more meat the better. So you have made this thing that looks like a colossally gigantic meatball. We're going to take this. You're going to roll it in your flour. And that's going to be used to basically adhere to the egg before you do the actual breading with the panko breadcrumbs. So we have a nice little ball. Let's cover that in egg wash. Make sure you get all that egg wash around. It's going to be your sticky element. And then finally, roll it generously in breadcrumbs. Okay. Don't be shy. And make sure you have lots of breadcrumbs for this, because these balls are going to be huge. Alright?
Wow.
And we're going to put that right in our bin. So figure out with a bin that size, if you have a bigger deep fryer, put as many in the basket as you can at once. We're probably going to get 2 at a time. So we'll be back in a little bit. We're going to dunk those into the deep fryer and show you what we have in a little bit. So our first 2 magnificent Scotch Italian eggs are breaded and ready to go. We're going to drop them in the deep fryer.
Yes.
Well, hopefully they will start to cook, and they're going to cook, and we're going to cook them until they're nice and golden brown. Give them a spin every now and then. Make sure the oil is completely covering them, and we'll be back once the finished product is made. So we have browned all of our wonderful eggs inside the deep fryer. One of them unfortunately did not make it. I was a bit severe with the spoon and it cracked. So we have 6 absolutely beautiful ones. I've preheated the oven at 350 degrees. So we're going to put these in for about 6 or 7 minutes just to tighten them up a little tiny bit, and we'll be back with the presentation of our Scotch eggs. So it's been 6 minutes. We let them cool for another couple minutes, then we cut them in half, and here you go. I think they're very, very pretty. Uovo Scozzese Italiano by Generoso. Again, I would have liked the yolk to have been a little bit runnier this time. They're a little bit more firm, but they're still a bit orange in the middle, which is nice. Sauce on the bottom. If you want to put sauce on the top, go right ahead. But here's our dish for this week. I hope you enjoy it. Share this video with your friends, and let us know how yours turned out. We never say it on the video, but it's always good when people make our recipes and they enjoy it. So have a wonderful, wonderful night.